Hello everyone, my name is Lyra Mackay and I work for Zoho in Australia and New Zealand. Today I'd like to talk to you about CRM basics. This video is for you if you're anywhere from a complete newbie to CRMs or business, if you're an entrepreneur, a small business owner, if you don't have a CRM, maybe you're using spreadsheets or even paper-based processes, or if you're currently looking for a CRM, and even if you already have one. Maybe you're here because you're not happy with whatever you're using, or you'd just like to learn more. So what are we going to cover today? I've chosen a few core CRM concepts that will help you understand why you need a CRM and what you can do with it. I'll also talk about some real customer stories to highlight how important it is to use a CRM, and then I'll give you some tips and best practices. And I've linked some resources below to start you on your journey. So what is a CRM? If you've never heard of the term, it stands for Customer Relationship Management. And basically, it's an application or system that helps you manage your customer relationships. So how does it do this? A CRM should help you manage your leads and customers to maximize the value you get from them. And by value, I mean money. So obviously businesses are made for a lot of really, really good reasons. But at the end of the day, businesses need to make money. If a business isn't making money, it's going to be hard for them to stay afloat and continue to add value to the community. So how exactly can a CRM help you maximize value? A CRM should do all of these things that you see on the screen, starting with capturing and nurturing all leads and customers. At Zoho, we like to break this down into these categories. In order to have a business, you have to generate the leads. With a CRM, you can generate leads by linking web forms, scanning a business card, bringing them in from social media or email marketing, and more. Your CRM should allow you to have multiple lead generation channels all coming into the lead module in your system. After gathering those leads, your CRM should allow you to automatically distribute them to your salespeople based on things like location, size, or priority. In Zoho CRM, this is done by predefining rules that say things like, if lead location is Brisbane, automatically notify the Brisbane sales manager, and so on. When it comes to nurturing your leads, omni-channel communication is really important. Omni-channel meaning all channels, so that includes social media, phone, email, live chat on your website, and even in person. A CRM can help you keep track of all of these interactions so you can better nurture your leads and convert them to a customer. Which brings us to converting. When a lead is willing to buy your product or service, it's easy to convert them to a deal with one click. This can trigger certain follow-up tasks for you or your salespeople, so deals are closed faster. And finally, analyzing. With a CRM, you can track which channels brought in the most leads and which channels are most likely to convert. If you find that phone calls are where most leads are converting, you can focus your time and efforts into making that channel as effective as possible. A CRM also helps you organize your data, and that's not just customer data, but also vendors, partners, sales, marketing, finance, projects, and more. Compared to having all of this information stored in different places or with different people, when you have a proper database, all of your information becomes visible, accessible, and actionable for your entire team. So, in terms of leads and customers, what sort of information can you track? The amount of purchases they've made, how many support calls they've had and what happened, how much money they've spent with you, and even details about their family that you might not think is that important. But I guarantee when you call a customer and ask them how their daughter did in her Year 12 exams or how their dog's surgery went, they'll really appreciate it and think you're amazing for remembering. All of these things on the screen will help you manage and nurture your leads and customers. Now, while you could store all of that information in your spreadsheet, it's important to remember that while a CRM is technically a database of information, having a database does not make it a CRM. And that's because a CRM does so much more than store data. A CRM allows you to automate tedious and time-consuming processes, like sending follow-up emails or scheduling reminders to call clients. A part of automation is also building out internal processes for your team to follow. You might have a number of different processes in place, like deal closure, lead follow-up, managing orders, or even a process for offering discounts. Here's a picture of blueprints inside Zoho CRM. Many other CRMs also have process management where you can outline the exact steps that should be taken when a team member completes a process. There's also the ability to score your leads, and that basically means that you can set up and decide what action adds a certain amount of points to a lead score. For example, for every email opened, add 1 point, and so on. You can do this for communication channels, as you see here, but also for things like number of employees or revenue per year, so that when you do have a large lead come in, the lead scoring reflects that, and you can handle them faster than a normal lead if you wish. Some analysts have even said that lead scoring has increased conversion rates by almost 80% and has increased sales-ready leads by 50%, so that you can be sure when you hand a lead to sales, they make the most of their time because that lead is ready to convert. I also mentioned before about separating leads by location or size, and with a CRM, you can actually automate who gets certain leads with assignment rules, so that you can assign them to the right salesperson and you don't have leads falling through the cracks. Lastly, to make sure you and your team are collecting the right leads, you can set validation rules, which can be really important for many businesses, especially those that have requirements to be met before engaging. In this example, this business has a certain age requirement, so if your team tries to add a participant who is younger than 18 years old, they'll get prompted and not be able to submit that lead. And from here, there are so many other things you can do inside a CRM in terms of automation to make life easier, not just for you, but also for your team and customers. Because ultimately, the number one reason to automate processes is so you have more time to spend on things that matter, like business development, research and design, and improving your customer and employee experiences. And that brings us to communication and productivity. A huge reason why a CRM is so beneficial for communication is because of the benefits we've just talked about, including automation and organizing data. When you have a dedicated space for your data, and you have automation for tedious tasks, less time is spent asking team members where documents are or what happened in a certain meeting. Your CRM provides your entire team with context behind customer interactions. Without that context, you'll end up spending way too much time sorting through unnecessary emails and messages looking for that information. For example, without a CRM, your process might look a little bit like this. A lead is ready to be converted to a deal. After sales and the customer have gone back and forth discussing the initial details, the sales team needs to let the finance team know that they're in need of a quote. They relay all of the relevant details either over the phone, by email, or in a message. The finance team creates the quote and sends it back to the sales member. Often a customer has one point of contact, so a separate person reaching out may not be ideal in your business. The sales then sends the quote to the customer. The customer approves the quote and lets the sales member know. Again, sales and finance go back and forward discussing the invoice and any other sales order information, until finally the sales member can send the customer an invoice to pay. Now your business might look a little bit different. You might have a lot more steps involved, you might be a one-person operation, so it's not this difficult, but you're still using time and resources moving information from one place to another when it could be automated in a CRM. On the other hand, with a CRM, your sales team can create a deal with the click of a button. Once a deal is entered, the sales team can actually have the quote automatically created based on the information they've already entered. The CRM pulls the data together and sends the quote to the customer. The customer can then approve the quote, which automatically notifies the sales team through the CRM. Again, with the click of a button, the sales team can turn the quote into an invoice and send it back to the customer to be paid, all while the finance team can see what's happening and has context of the interaction and the deal. So even if you don't have separate departments for these processes, the fact that everything is organized, tracked, and able to be sent back and forward easily without extra communication is what makes a CRM truly great, because unnecessary emails and messages create noise in communication channels and hinders your team's productivity. Let's have a look at some examples of how Zoho CRM can help. Within the CRM, you can leave notes or comments on a certain lead, contact, deal, or other entry, meaning instead of having to leave the CRM, open your messaging app and message that person. While inside the CRM, you can tag your team members in comments. This is then also visible for your other team members so they all understand the context and you don't flood that person on your messaging app. Here is Click, which is built into Zoho One, Zoho CRM, and many other major apps that you would use within Zoho. You can see this is Amelia, so she's in the CRM. She got a message from someone asking about sales targets. Amelia can easily share the relevant documents in a few clicks without actually leaving her page. You can also integrate your project management tool or just use the built-in projects module in the CRM to manage your team's projects. So again, you all have visibility of what's happening and you don't need to constantly get updates and message back and forth. It's all there for everyone to see. I like to think of it as a chain effect. When you have organized data in the one spot, you can automate processes based on that data. When processes are automated, there's less noise in your communication channels, which leads to increased productivity because you and your team aren't constantly task switching. That means you all have more time for what matters, which is often the time you actually spend with customers. That leads to happier customers and staff and a better business. And of course, everything really is linked together like a big chain because many of these things have a positive impact on several other pieces of this puzzle. Another thing your CRM should help you do is make important business decisions. And it does that by providing you with pre-built, easy-to-use, customizable reports like this one. As soon as you start pushing data through your CRM, you'll have access to these reports that show things like lead generations, deals closed, and revenue. You can also keep a close eye on your KPIs. You can see how many calls your team has made, how many tasks they've completed, what activities are overdue, and so on. By using pipelines, you can identify any bottlenecks that are present. For example, you can see here that there are quite a few leads getting stuck in needs analysis. So you can change how you go about this step with your sales team and customers. On top of that, you can also use your CRM to predict future sales based on trends that it notices in your past and current sales. From a management perspective, you can schedule daily, weekly, monthly, or custom time reports straight to your inbox so you never miss out on knowing your numbers. And to summarize that section, Phil Hassey, a technology analyst in Australia, said recently that a CRM organizes all your customer information in one place and then brings this data to life, helping your teams go from scattered insights to targeted outcomes for the business. The last thing your CRM should do is keep your data safe, secure, and private. At Zoho, privacy and security is extremely important to us, and we treat our customers' data with the same importance. As a first step, Zoho is GDPR compliant. GDPR is the General Data Protection Regulation that governs how businesses deal with personal data. It is valid and mandatory in the European Union, but Zoho has chosen to implement this worldwide so that every country and customer gets the same protection. On top of that, every customer also has the option to encrypt personal or protected data. From the employee management side of things, you can set roles and permissions, so only certain people in your business can view certain records. For example, if you had a new person, they could see the basic customer data like name and whatnot, but you could make sure to hide the financial information. Then, all of the activity your team is doing in the CRM is tracked and shown in audit logs. So if something is deleted, you know who deleted it and when, and you can recover that data. Restricting IPs is also important. If someone got a hold of your team's login information and wanted to log in from their computer and steal your data, they wouldn't be able to log in at all because their IP wouldn't match. You can also make it mandatory for all staff to set up two-factor authentication. And lastly, you can schedule regular data backups so that if something does happen, then your data is protected. On top of that, Zoho stores multiple backups of your data on different servers, so that in the really rare chance something does happen, we both have peace of mind that your data is safe. Now let's hear about some real Zoho customer stories to demonstrate how they've maximised success with the use of a CRM. Australian Sports Camps has been operating for 40 years and runs sports camps for kids during their time off school. Scott Taylor, the current managing director, took over the business in 2018, and when he did, they didn't have a formal system in place to manage their sales. The team ran on spreadsheets, and lots of important information was being stored in people's brains instead of in a system accessible and actionable for everyone else. He also said that he felt nothing was secure. Because they used spreadsheets, anyone could have hacked into the sheet and had access to the sensitive and personal information. They didn't have a formal system or any strict processes in place for sales, and in general, his operations felt inefficient. It quickly became clear to Scott that they needed a CRM to ensure data integrity, improve communication, and automate their processes. So that's exactly what he did. Scott searched for a solution, found a consultant who recommended Zoho CRM, and he began implementing it. Scott said that culturally, Zoho CRM really helped to provide one point of truth, because all of a sudden, everyone had to put all of their knowledge into the system, and it actually became a resource instead of a burden. Because of automation, they managed to take 98% of bookings online, meaning that he's no longer paying a person to take those calls. This is not to say that they don't want to speak with their customers, but because valuable information is available for his customers online, they have everything they need to book in, which saves their time, saves the Australian Sports Camps staff time, and also makes for a better customer experience. Because for those customers that do need the extra help on a call, the ASC team can focus the extra resources on providing that assistance. A huge thing Scott said was that their profit has doubled because with a solid system, they've been able to scale back while increasing the number of participants coming through the doors. If you want to find out more about ASC, you can read their case study or visit their website that I've linked in the description below. The next customer I'd like to talk about is CKP Creative. They are a Brisbane-based marketing consultant firm who specialises in branding, websites, SEO, and more. Stuart George, the founder and director, has 20 years in the industry and has grown his business from just himself to now 10 people on his team. Before Zoho, the CKP team used a combination of spreadsheets, paper-based processes, and several single-point solutions to manage their day-to-day activities, as well as projects, marketing, and finance. Stuart said the biggest challenge for them was the lack of integration between the apps they were using, and he would have to copy data between applications instead of them working seamlessly together. Stuart began his Zoho journey and has since found so many benefits of a one-stop shop provider. Stuart uses Zoho One, which is a bundle of applications we call the operating system for business. He now uses over 15 products, including Zoho CRM, Zoho Projects, Zoho Books, and more. Just by using the CRM and a few other customer-facing products, Stuart found that the team's communication with clients has drastically improved. Now, Stuart and his team can go for a screenshot on their phones, push the contact details to the CRM, and send the lead an email in less than 60 seconds. If you'd like to learn more about how CKP Creative uses Zoho and about their business, I've linked the case study and their website in the description below. Now, before I say goodbye, I wanted to summarize what we've talked about. If you're now going to search for a CRM or look to upgrade yours, these things are pretty much essential and should be prioritized in your search. Starting with contact management. Your CRM is a database of information. It should contain a list of all of your contacts, including leads, customers, vendors, and even employees. Touchpoint tracking. This is basically keeping track of all of the interactions and activities that go on between your staff and customers, from sales calls down to whether they liked a photo on your Instagram or opened your email. Lead management. Similar to contact management because it stores information, but your CRM should have the ability to nurture and score leads as they move through your sales pipeline. Integrations. It's extremely important that your CRM integrates with your other tools. If you're using a form on your website to pick up leads, if that form doesn't integrate with your CRM, then there's not much point. The same goes for sending data from the CRM to your finance application. Make sure the CRM you choose will integrate with your other software pieces. Scalability. If the CRM you choose will only go to 1,000 entries before it maxes out, then you can only go so far with it until you have to find a replacement. And if you're a small business, don't think that you won't get there because it might happen faster than you think. Customizability. If a CRM doesn't look nice or can't be made to look nice through customization, then odds are you probably won't end up using it. User experience is so important, and if you log into your system and see a bunch of irrelevant fields that you can't delete, then it will create so much distraction, you'll probably end up resorting back to your paper-based processes or spreadsheets. So make sure you're able to make your CRM look how you want it. Quoting. If you have a finance system that you use and quoting in a CRM is not super important for you, that's great. But again, make sure it will integrate and send data to your finance app. So if quoting is important to you and you don't have a separate application for that, make sure your CRM can handle that. Workflow automation. This is what I talked about earlier with automating those repetitive tasks like sending follow-up emails or getting reminders to make a follow-up call to a client. Analytics. If you want to get a report on how your sales are going, make sure the CRM you choose can automatically send you a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or whatever time frame report of that information. Forecasting. In order to make business decisions, you need reports and analytics. Otherwise, you're just throwing a rock into the dark. Another really helpful thing to have in your CRM is the ability to forecast. And that happens when you have enough data in the system that it can pick up on seasonal trends so you get an idea of where you'll be in the future. Security and privacy. This is extremely important and very serious in this day and age. You and your customers' data security and privacy should be a high priority. If there is any chance of your database being compromised, this will put your business and your customers at risk. Cloud storage. Nowadays, most software vendors build their applications and databases in the cloud, so it won't be hard to find. But if it's important to you, make sure that your chosen vendor provides cloud storage. And finally, some things to remember. It is never too early for a CRM. Even if you're just starting out and don't have any money to spend, there are plenty of free options, including Zoho CRM. Your CRM will take some time to set up. The complexity of your processes and workflows will dictate how much time and effort goes into setting it up. And maintenance is also required. You can't just set and forget. Now, while you shouldn't have to constantly go in and fix things, at least in the initial stage, you may need to tweak some things. I would also recommend trying a few different vendors to get the right fit, both in terms of whether you like the system visually and also functionally. There are plenty of free trials, so take advantage of them. And if you really need more time on your trial, ask the vendor. Most often they will extend it. If you're considering Zoho CRM, or even if you aren't, talk to the Zoho Concierge team, which I've linked in the description below. They are a completely free, no strings attached service that offers a 30-minute call to go over your requirements. And with that, I thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, if you want more information, if you have anything to say or any questions, please comment below. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night wherever you are. I'm Lyra Mackay and this has been CRM Basics. Bye for now.